Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Biggleswade Town Council meeting this evening. Usual reminders that this is for meeting attendees that this is a formal meeting. I provide that members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak during the public open session, but not at other times. Meetings being filmed, and by being present, attendees are deemed to have agreed to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. I can advise that attendees should not disclose any personal information of individuals, as this would infringe the data protection rights of that individual. Usual situation around keeping microphones off when not speaking, please. So first item on the agenda is the apologies for absence. We have apologies from Councillor Jones. Do we have any other apologies that you're aware of, please? Councillor Barrett?
No, Councillor Patel is overseas.
Yeah, I think... Okay, so Councillor Patel and Councillor Sajid are overseas. I don't think the clerk has received the notification, but we'll double check that. That's fine. Okay, everyone else I think is here. So next item then is declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest in relation to disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests, please? Nothing there. Okay. I've got no town mayor's announcements this evening for item 3, so we'll move on to item 4, public open session. No members of the public in the chamber. Anyone online? No. Okay, so we'll move straight on then to item 5. No invited speaker. Number 6, members' questions, please. Councillor Skilton.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before Christmas, I was made aware of a sewage leak on Dunton Lane near the electricity substation. A resident has now contacted me, having contacted Anglian Water and been told by them to contact the Bedfordshire Drainage Boards. He's also contacted the Bedfordshire Drainage Boards, who've said you need to contact Anglian Water. Is this something the Town Council could look into whose responsibility it is and possibly act on that? And I know Central Beds councillors have been made aware, but so far he has not had a response to my knowledge.
Okay, I do know that the Town Council are fully aware of it in terms of the officers are aware of it, and I know there's action been taken. I saw a post, a social media communication to the residents to that effect, so it's sort of in hand in that respect. I'm not sure that there's anything else that I can add, but certainly it has been escalated to the relevant parties. Again, don't know exactly who's fully responsible, because there's a little bit of an area around. It's a pumping. We think it's a pumping station, but it's certainly been escalated, and we're trying to get it resolved as soon as we can. Okay. Any other questions, Councillor Russell?
Could I just ask if we can check with Central Beds what the arrangements are at the moment for car parking management? Because I understand that we've got an arrangement with them that they will look after the streets, but also look after our car parks. I'm increasingly concerned about the number of cars parked illegally on our streets. And this morning, within about a couple of 100 yards, there were 6 of them.
Right.
You know, and it's just all the time now. So I wonder if we can find out what's happening with the enforcement, please.
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that actually was an enforcement officer in the town today. I think they're actually the CBC vehicle was parked directly opposite the town hall in one of the resident parking areas. It's a little unfortunate, but yes, they were here, and I saw the officer walking around the town, sort of. Looking busy, put it that respect. So yes, there is enforcement, but quite right, Councillor Ross. I think we do need to follow it up to make sure that there are proper arrangements in place for the on-street as well as the our own car parks.
And how often they're around.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Okay, anybody else? Any other questions? No? Okay, so we'll move on then to item 7, which is the minutes of the recommendations of meetings. So we've got 2 here. We've got the minutes of the council meeting of the 12th of December. So firstly, we're going to go for accuracy. So we're on page 7 for accuracy. Page 8. Page 9. Councillor Strawn.
A question under 9A. At the end of that, it's got 5 improvements to public toilets yet to be defined, and members resolved to reject items 5 to 8 of the report. So could somebody clarify what we actually agreed there, because it doesn't seem to make sense as it reads.
It does, but it doesn't. And I appreciate what you're saying, because there were 8 items on the report, and the first 4 items are items 1 to 4 here. and then we added an additional one, which is item 5. So I think what we do need to do is word it slightly differently so that item 1 to 5, or 1 to 4 on the original report, and items 5 to 8 on the original report.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't read right.
No, you're quite right. So I think we'll just tweak the wording slightly so that it's, yeah. Is there anything else on page 9? Oh, page 10. Councillor Russell.
The item on the draft planning obligations, where the bullet point is number 5 down, it says recreational open space. The document states that the town and parish council should be considered first. Doesn't say what for. It should be for taking on the management of those areas, please.
Okay.
And then on the next bullet point, cemeteries, I think it's important to say that, first of all, that working with town and parish councils as the burial authorities, not just as consultees, but because we are actually the burial authorities.
So added in as a burial authority after town and parish councils.
Please, yes. And then it says, and the impact it would have on cemeteries. And it's not really the impact, it's the need for a new cemetery. So if that could say, and the need for a new cemetery, please.
Okay, happy with that amendment, everybody? Yep, okay. Fundy, you've got that, yeah? Okay, thank you. So anything on page 11 then, please? Councillor Knight.
Thank you. Item 9G, the street trading consent. At the first bullet, I think part of my proposal was to also ask CBC why BTC wasn't consulted on that change.
Okay.
So if we could just add that after the first sentence, please, on that first bullet.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? No. Okay. And page 12. Anything on page 12? Anything on page 13? And page 14? Councillor Russell.
Sorry, you went through that rather fast. I'm on page 12, if that's okay.
Yes, sure.
It's where it's item G, land to the east of Langford Road. The town council objects to this application on the grounds that it will have an impact on the highway. I think it needs to say more. It's the already congested roads in Langford and Biggleswade, because whichever way traffic turned from that development, it would be through very difficult roads. So already congested roads in Langford and Biggleswade.
And the urban coalescence, yeah?
Well, it's not so much the urban, it's coalescence with Biggleswade.
Okay.
That's what we're concerned about, please. Thank you.
Okay, happy with that? Yep. Okay. Then, so then nothing on 13, nothing on 14. And 15, anything on 15, that's a blank page, so that'd be lucky to do that. Okay, so we will get those amended and obviously updated in due course. Thank you very much. So next one then is the minutes of the F&GP meeting. So these are to note that them prior to the F&GP meeting next week. So nothing more to add on that. So we'll go back then to matters arising on the council meeting. So again on page 7, matters arising. Page 8, matters arising. Page 9. Councillor Skilton.
Item 9C. Have we contacted Mr. Jones and about that yet?
I don't have an answer on that. I'm going to.
Yes, we have, and we're meeting him this Thursday with some members.
Thank you. Thanks, Grim. Okay. Any other matters arising? So there's nothing on 9. Anything on page 10? Page 11. Councillor Knight.
Item G again. So I'm guessing Central Beds haven't explained why we weren't consulted, but I'll ask the question anyway, so it's minuted, so I can ask again next time to see whether we've had an answer. Thank you.
Okay, so let's have that on the agenda then, yeah, next week, next meeting. Page 12, matters arising. Page 13. Sorry, Councillor Strawn.
Thank you. Item 13A, rights of way officer to be invited to a meeting. We've got further rights of way questions today. When can we expect the attendance of that officer?
I'm going to pass that over to Peter.
We'll follow the matter up and find an exact time, but at the moment I can't give a swift answer to the question.
Okay, thank you. Something to look into then. So an item, then page 14, please, matters arising. Nothing there. Okay, and nothing on page 15. Shall we move on then to item 9, items for consideration. So this is the creation of Biggleswade footpaths 78 and 79, etc. This is obviously the one that we've been dealt with previously. Karim, are you looking to speak? No. So the report lays out the concerns, issues, etc. Any comments, please? Councillor Alban? Then Councillor Strawn after that.
Yeah, I would favour option 1, the do nothing option. So this is about leaving footpath 19 in place rather than stopping it up. People walk the route that is there currently. It may not be the official route, which would involve walking through hedgerows, which would be quite difficult. But yeah, I think that the sensible option is to take option 1. So I would propose that.
Okay, that's a proposal. I've got a seconder for that one. Councillor Russell, Councillor Strawn.
I'd like to know why officers have recommended option 1 in their view as being the preferred choice, because whilst I understand the comments about just letting things remain as they are in practical terms, is that going to be right in the future? And are we going to actually get the best use of the footpaths are they going to be maintained properly? Because it just seems a little bit of it could create problems in the future, particularly if people are using an area that isn't within the appropriate ownership or rights, because I could see difficulties with the landowner if people are walking on land that isn't a designated right of way.
So your question is in relation to why the recommendation is that. So I'm going to refer that to the officers and why the particular recommendation is as is.
Thanks. It's essentially, as you said else already, Councillor Strawn, it's the least fuss option, I think. That's the reason why we kind of suggested that.
Thank you. Councillor Russell.
I'm fully in agreement with what Councillor Alban has proposed, because there is one new bridleway being proposed. There's the possibility of another one from the base of the bridge going to the gate that goes onto the common at the top end of 19. And I think it would be a good idea to wait, to do nothing, wait to see what happens, what people actually want to do and where they want to go, and then come back to this in probably 12, 18 months' time. So that's why I'm supporting Councillor Alban. And I can understand what Councillor Strawn's saying about the legal position, but the legal position is no different if we wait than it has been for a lot of years. So let's just see what people want to do, where they want to go, how they use the new footpaths, and then look at it again if necessary in 12 to 18 months.
Okay. Any other comments? It just strikes me that it's a bit strange that Fen Reeves have a footpath in the middle of, there's a footpath, but that CVC have approached Fen Reeves and it's not being dealt with. So the footpath itself is through this area of Blackthorn and it's not being resolved. So, and it seems as though Central Beds don't want to follow it up. So given that there's not a sort of a desire to do so, was there a requirement for to make the change because they don't want to enforce something or make sure, unless I'm missing the point, someone corrects me on this. So I think we obviously got to make a mind up what we want to do here, but there's a proposal from Councillor Russell here. It's been Councillor Alban, seconded by Councillor Russell. Anybody else wish to comment? No, okay. So I'm going to take it to the vote then. All those in favour of that option, then please show. Against and abstention. Thank you. Having a moment, Councillor Strawn. Abstained to Councillor Strawn. Thank you. Okay, so we've got that. So we'll move on to 9B, update to financial regulations. So, Mr. Youngs is here. You have the report in front of you. I think the report is fairly self-explanatory. There's an item that was within the financial regulations previously and so omitted to an updated version. And the recommendation is that we add it back in. Councillor Saron, do you wish to speak?
Wish to move the vote proposal.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? So that's a number of people. All those in favour, please. Okay. Thank you. That's unanimous. Move on. There you go. That's quick. Next one. So we're on to 9C, pedestrian safety island. So you have the motion from Councillor Russell as laid out there. Councillor Russell, did you wish to speak to this?
Yes, please, Chairman. Just to say that a member of the public first approached me about this and said how she'd seen elderly people struggling to cross there. Yes, there's the island, the other side on Shortmead Street, but that's not necessarily where people want to go. Since that person approached me, I have been carefully looking every time I've walked through the town, and I walk around there most days, watching what goes on. And I've seen mothers with buggies and that crossing there. I've seen people coming out of the fitness place, crossing over there to go to the St Andrews car park. So there is a desire line to go through there. And I think there's plenty of room for a safety island. And I think we should be asking Central Beds to do that. So the motion's before you, Chairman. Okay, thank you, Councillor Russell. Members' comments, please. Anyone? Councillor Knight, then Councillor Skilton.
I think it's a good idea. Can I second it, please?
Second.
Assuming it's proposed. Yeah.
Councillor Skilton.
I do agree that that is a problem crossing the road there. There's numerous junctions nearby the town centre that there is a problem. I'm not sure if a pedestrian island goes far enough, and might we want to propose a formalised enforceable crossing of some description, be it signalised or not, that would give pedestrians even more of a priority when crossing the road there.
Thank you, Councillor Skilton. I'm going to have to write the words formalised enforceable crossing down because I'm not sure I'd remember that, but I'm sure I can come back to you. Any other members' comments, please? Councillor Woodward.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. No, I think it's like Councillor Russell. I've walked down there quite a bit recently, and I think it is very much a desire line, and there are lots of people using that end of town also to get down towards Franklin's Wreck and also other parts of the town. I think it's an obvious place to have it, and it's it's a very busy road, and it is quite away from other formalised crossings. So I think maybe in the first instance, let's have a look at the island, see how that goes, and take it further if necessary in future. But I think certainly an island is a good first step.
Okay. Any other comments, please? So I have a proposal which was seconded. I have some comments from Councillor Skilton, which Councillor Skilton, I'm going to give you the opportunity to have another speak if you want to.
So can I propose an amendment to change the word into a formalised enforceable crossing?
You can propose an amendment to that.
I don't accept the amendment.
So the proposer does not accept the amendment. So we're going to take the amendment. So I beg your pardon. So is the amendment seconded? Thank you, Councillor Strawn. Do you second that amendment? No. Okay. Anyone wish to second that amendment? Okay. On that basis, Councillor Scotland, it doesn't look as though there's a great deal of support for that for an amendment. So on that basis, the amendment is unsuccessful. What's the terminology, Councillor Strawn? Fallen? Yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to we'll go to the vote on that initial proposal. All those in favour, please. Thank you. That's unanimous. Well done. Excellent. Shall we move on to the next one then, which is item 9D, proposed diversion of parts of footpath 21 and 26 and proposed creation of a section of bridleway 22. So you have the report in front of you. Comments, please. Councillor Russell.
I struggled with this at first, but after looking at it very carefully, they seem to be saying that parts of this footpath are actually in the river now because the path has been eroded, which it has been very seriously along that length past Harris's property. Looking at this in conjunction with the item we had on the last agenda and looking at where the new footpath is going, I mean, I don't think we can object to the stopping up of the path where it's gone, where it's in the river, and the realignment along there. But looking at the bit between J and A, so from where the new path will end up into Hill Lane, I wonder if we can ask whether that could be a footpath with rights to cycle, because that's the jargon that's used in what we had before us in the last meeting. I don't know what the difference is between a footpath with rights to cycle and a bridle way, but there is obviously a difference because the rights of way officers were saying footpath with rights to cycle, and certainly people will want to cycle along there. So I think we should accept what's proposed in this paper from Central Beds, but go back to them and say, could that part from J to A be with rights to cycle?
I agree. I think what it does say in the paper, I think in the middle of the second or the paragraph beginning the council, it does say something about it's hoped in the future cycling rights will be dedicated over that. So obviously something they're considering. So we can certainly write to the rights of way officer to ask that to be as part of this, but it seems they're considering it anyway.
Well, people already cycle along there, and obviously it wouldn't be right to cycle along that bit that's alongside Harris's land, because that's quite dangerous, but people do still cycle along there, including children. But we do need people to be able to cycle, and I think that we should push for it now. Yeah,
no, I'm happy to do that. I think we should do that, but I think I'm just perhaps officers can also take away why it's not part of the original proposal, because it's clearly they've thought about doing it. But yes, we can write to ask for it to be in there, of course.
Well, can I make a formal proposal that we accept what they're recommending, but ask that the right to cycle should be implemented straight away?
Okay, thank you. Councillor, do I have a second of that proposal?
Yeah,
so it's Councillor Alban.
Yeah, I was going to second that. But I'd like to express my concern about the state of the footpath adjacent to Harris's, which is between roundabout K and Y on this map. So the footpath is eroding away quite substantially, which is one of the reasons why they're considering an alternative route. But I think we should try and pressurise CBC to look at that to see what can be done. I know that it will be a potentially expensive job, but it's in a pretty poor state in places, and the footpath has already disappeared into the river in places. I can see that continuing unless there's some work done to address it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Alban. Councillor Barrett.
Just a quick question. Where on the diagram here, let's say K to D that we're just talking about, I think it's where the footpath's going to be moved slightly, or suggested it moves. I think there's a fence line along there, isn't there? Who owns that fence? Is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That bit of riverbank alongside Harris's is owned by Harris's. So if anybody's going to repair the riverbank, I would say it's down to Harris's. Walking along there this morning, the latest flooding has already done more damage to that bank. And I suspect that in 10 to 15 years, most of that path will have fallen into the river. The path is already cracking more after the recent flooding. So I think it's down to the landowner, and I wouldn't want to see a lot of public money, particularly since we're going to have the alternative path.
Okay, Councillor Alban, come back again, and then Councillor North.
Yeah, just to answer Councillor Barrett's question, and the original route is in the river, and the current route is where they want to move the footpath to.
Okay, Councillor North.
Well, firstly, just to mention that the door keeps opening and closing at the front, so I don't know quite why that's happening. But also to mention that, Councillor Russell has referred to it, there's talk about the bit that goes down the side of the Harrison's encampment there is not really that important because they're going to build a new one, aren't they? This came up at a meeting a few weeks ago. They're going to put in a new footpath to the east, west of the fairground site. So that will replace the footpath that goes along the side of the river and will allow cycling on it as well, presumably. In fact, that is referred to in the letter.
Yes.
So I think we shouldn't ask them to do a lot of work on a footpath that is soon to be redundant. That's my point anyway.
Okay, so Councillor Skilton. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon, sorry.
Yeah, so just looking at this, the new footpath to be created, as far as I can tell to this map, is actually the current tarmacked path. So it's just formalising that. The new, and so in terms of the new footpath that's going to be to the west of it, that is going to be less desirable as a route because it's going to add a lot of journey time if you're using that route as a utility route, avoiding Shortmead Street by bike. And also I'd just like to propose or ask if we could include the removal of the kissing gates in the section H to A, because they make it very difficult for large wheelchairs, mobility scooters, double buggies and things like that. And there are alternatives that you can use, such as an adjacent cattle grid and gate, which they use on the other parts of the common north of Furston Hall Road.
Okay, there's a little bit to unpick on this one, so thank you for that. So we had a proposal to Councillor Russell's proposal to write and to give cycling rights immediately. We've also got an amendment to express concern, or a proposal about expressing concern about footpath K to Y, but I think I'm getting the sense that that is sort of it's not necessarily supported, but I'm happy to, if Councillor Alban wants to make a formal amendment to the proposal, happy to include that.
Yeah, I think I would like to make that as a formal amendment.
Okay. And we've also then got Councillor Skilton's, Councillor Russell, you were...
I was just not clear exactly what the amendment is, and I wonder if Councillor Alban could remind us.
Yeah, it's to ask CBC to look into what can be done to remediate the washing away of the footpath in that area.
Okay. So Councillor Strawn.
Observation, if we're looking at CBC looking into the erosion of the footpath, it might also be appropriate for the local river authority to be looking into that, because I think that is the river authority may have more power than the CBC. So I think that might be an appropriate addition if Councillor Alban's happy, because I'm not too worried about the CBC or the water authority, but I think it would be sensible to make sure that we've covered both possibilities.
Go ahead.
There's an amendment that's being proposed. As far as my proposal is concerned, I'm happy to take on board adding to the proposal that CBC should look at possible replacements for the kissing gates. I mean, obviously there's an issue either end of Back Meadows, because there will be cattle again in there when the problems with the grazing have been seen to. So I'm quite happy to add to my proposal to look at the removal of the kissing gates to make it easier for mobility scooters, whatever. I don't want to add anything about the erosion of the bank, so that would need to be taken as an amendment if that's what's being proposed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Woodhead.
Yeah, just as a point of information, I think the kissing gate, I think it's approximately where H is. When I walked down there about a week ago, it wasn't there any longer, or it certainly wasn't working. So that isn't there. Well, it wasn't last week anyway, so unless it's been put back or whatever. So that there isn't one there. I mean, there is one still at A, but there is an alternative entrance as well as the kissing, I think, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, I accept Councillor Russell's point about cattle, and obviously it's quite important, but whether a cattle grid's better or not, I'm not quite sure, but certainly one at H wasn't there last time I saw it. So things may have moved on anyway.
Okay, I think we're probably there or thereabouts. So do need to vote. So did I have a seconder for Councillor Albrand's proposal? The seconder. So we need to take a vote on the amendment, which is to include writing to Central Beds and to the River Authority. I think, Councillor Albrand, are you happy to add that into that to encourage them to improve the path by the river? All those in, I think that's everything in that your amendment proposal. Yeah. So all those in favour of that amendment, please. Okay. So that all those against? Councillor Russell is against. Any abstentions? Okay. So that is carried. So that's the amendment to the initial proposal. So I'm now going to take a vote on the proposal as amended. All those in favour, please show. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Well done.
May I just say that the reason I objected is that you can even see today where more of the bank is being eroded. It's a fool's errand to spend a lot of money on that bit of bank because the river will have its way. Noted,
Councillor Russell. Thank you very much. Shall we move then on to the next item on the agenda, which is planning applications. So we're going to go to the first one, 183, 10A, 183 Homecourt Avenue, single story front extension. Comments, please. Councillor Barrett.
I would say no objection, subject to residence.
All happy? Yep, okay, thank you. Next one then, 10B Warren Villas, Quarry New Road Sandy, change of use from a formal mineral extraction plant to work in a waste recycling site with associated landscaping, etc., etc. Comments, please, given it's not within Biggleswade Ward. What are your thoughts? Any comments, Councillor Barrett?
My understanding is retrospective.
Yep.
It's already there. There have been some comments from other councils on the system, North Hill and Sandy. And I'd suggest that we note their comments made by other councils and we support those comments.
Okay, so that's a proposal there. Did anyone second that proposal? Okay, so happy to all those in favour of Councillor Barrett's proposal then, please. Okay, thank you very much. Item 11 and plan application outcomes. Any comments on the report? Are we saying we're going to note the report? So the report is noted. Thank you very much. Next one then, accounts. So 12, item 12, and obviously you've got the usual financial reports. Mr. Youngs is here. Councillor Strawn, did you wish to make any comments in relation to the reports? Or
only to approve the recommendation and point out that information is available on the website for more detail. But again, I think with the commentary is always now very useful. Okay, thank you. So is that proposal? Yeah. Do I have a seconder at the moment? Councillor Barrett. Anyone wish to comment on the reports? Anything that you wish to emphasise or not? Okay, in which case I'm going to take it to the vote then. All those in favour of accepting the accounts as is? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll move then on to item 13, which is interim finance report for mayoral activities. 13A. You have the report in front of you. Any comments you wish to make in relation to the report? Councillor Russell.
How often have we agreed this is coming to council? Because I really don't think it's necessary for it to come more than a couple of times a year.
I seem to think it was every 6 months.
Because we seem to have seen it very often just lately.
We perhaps need to have, there's a bit of hesitation in there. So Mr. Youngs, perhaps what we need to do is, have you got an answer on it? It's...
Yeah, I think you may be muddling it up with the fact that the report came to Finance and General Purposes on the 5th of December, where it went for review, basically, because it was the first time that the report went to a committee. And so this is now the first time that it's actually come to council.
Well, there you go. It's such an interesting and detailed report that people are keen to understand it. Without me being too flippant about it, it lays out the mayoral expenses, the civic expenses. It obviously gives details of the charitable funding, etc. So, Councillor Knight.
Just to note, there seems to be some personal identifiable information in there that should probably be redacted.
Okay, we'll take that away. Thank you. Other than that, note the report then. All those in favour of noting, thank you very much. Right, so we'll go then on to the next item then, which is 13B, proposed temporary closure of Crab Lane. So these are all items for information, by the way. So anything in relation to that one, please? Temporary closure Crab Lane. Councillor Strawn.
I'm just looking at the plans. How are residents going to gain access to Brigham Gardens, or have I overlooked how much the road is going to be closed? It's an observation.
Don't know the answer to that one. I didn't pick up on that, so it's something I guess officers, if you can take that away, we'll look into.
Just to make sure that residents can still get in and out of Brigham Gardens, or at least know when if they're going to be closed off, they should be notified when it will not be possible in advance, so they can make alternative arrangements.
Quite right, Councillor Russell. Thank you.
I'd say surely as important is the ambulance station.
Exactly.
And access.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, I'm fine.
I was about to say it would be unusual to allow access to those things, but we can't always assume things are actually in place. So you're quite right to make sure we double check. Next one is proposed temporary closure of Hitchin Street. Noting. Okay. Go on. Did I miss one? Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, I don't have an objection to this in particular, but I'm aware that residents on Hitchin Street have had a lot of roadworks and a lot of utilities and bits and bobs happening over the past sort of 6-9 months. It's just to note yet more disruption for them, and of course it does sometimes mess up the which way you go around the town to Langford and so on and so forth. But there's nothing we can do. Obviously needs doing, but it's just being aware that particular stretch of town has had a lot of building and utilities work. So it's just something else on top. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Strawn.
Yes, I've noted the diversion route, and I can't see any locals actually taking that diversion route because it is several miles, unless somebody's got shares in BP or Shell who.
So thank you for that. I think what probably would be helpful though from a communication perspective, clearly there will be communication that's in place, but perhaps closer to the time, if the website and the Town Council Facebook page we're building some comms on there, so advance warning, I think residents would appreciate it. Where are we? So the next one is the temporary closure of Beach Avenue. Councillor Shaw, concerns there, please?
Yeah, I was also referring to Mulberry Close because they seem to be operating at the same time. And I'm just concerned again about the practicalities of access to and from. I'm imagining it, but again, I think it's important that residents be notified as to how to manage it and whether they're doing it in quite the right way, but they seem to be the same kind of thing, but they just seem to be putting it all as doing it separately, which doesn't seem logical.
Sure, okay. But the same thing applies then, if it's in place, is to tell us about it so we communicate to residents as well. Yep, okay. So I'm going to then, so we're now on to item 14, public open session. No members of the public present. Anyone online wishing to speak? No, okay. So on that basis, I am going to, anyone happy to move that we go into the session? Thank you very much. On that basis, to close the public session.